Hey guys, and welcome to adding and subtracting radicals. So in our last video, we learned how to simplify radicals. So today we are going to learn how to add and subtract them. So our very first step is that we need to simplify all of our radicals. Okay, that's the very first thing we always will need to do. Then we are going to identify radicals with the same index and same radical. Okay, so that means that our radicals need to be the same numbers, okay? Only these can be combined. So right here we have square root 20 and square root 5. We cannot combine those, okay? We can only combine numbers with the exact same numbers on the inside. All right. And then once we get our common radical, we can add and subtract coefficients, meaning the number in front, okay? But we cannot add the actual radicals themselves. Okay, so let's try our very first example. So we have negative 2 square root 20 minus 2 square root 5. So I'm going to simplify the square root 20, and those can be 4 and 5, 2 and 2. Okay, so we've gotten pretty good at simplifying. So we know that we're going to have 2 times negative 2 square root 5 minus 2 square root 5. Okay, because this one cannot simplify, right? All we have is 1 and 5. Alrighty, so I'm going to rewrite this up here, because 2 times negative 2 will give us negative 4 square root 5 minus 2 square root 5. Alright, so now for our common radicals, so we have square root 5, square root 5. Add or subtract the coefficients, the numbers in front, okay? So what's negative 4 minus 2? Negative 6. And keep the common radical. So then you just write square root 5. And that's going to be your answer. Alrighty? Good. Let's try number 1 now. So for number 1, do we have the same radical? Yes, we do. We have square root 6, square root 6. Very good. Okay, so now we're just going to do 3 minus 2 will give us 1 square root 6, which we can just write as square root 6. Okay, and we should know by now, just to make sure, that square root 6 gives us 2 and 3, but both of those are prime numbers and we don't have any pairs. So square root 6 is just always going to be square root 6. Alrighty, let's look at number 2. Number 2, do we have the same radical? Why, yes, we do. We have square root 5 and square root 5. And so what's 2 plus 2? It's going to give us 4. Square root 5. And 5 is a prime number, so we just leave it like that. All right, and then we get down to number 3. 7 and 63 are definitely not the same numbers, okay? Remember, we're always looking inside of our radical. So factors of 7 are 1 and 7, so that's not helpful. So instead we need to do 63. If you don't remember your factors of 63, look at the very last number. If it is an odd number, because 3 is odd, you cannot divide by 2. So you would just have to try 3, okay? So we're going to do 3 divided by 63. 3 goes into 6 2 times. And 3 goes into 3 one time. So we can do 3 and 21. Okay? Factors of 3, 1 and 3. Factors of 21, 3 and 7. And then 1 and 3, 1 and 7. Cool. So I have my pairs of 3's and leftover 7. Okay? So since we couldn't do anything with the 10 square root 7, I'm just going to write it down. And then we have a pair of 3's, so that's going to go on our outside. And we're going to multiply it times our 2. We're left with square root 7. So then we need to simplify this. So we have 10 square root 7 plus 6 square root 7, which is going to give us that 16 square root 7, because 10 plus 6. Alrighty, let's try number 4. Alright, let's see if we can simplify 15. Alright, so we have 3 and 5. Nope, because 3 is a prime number, 5 is a prime number. So instead, let's simplify 60. Alrighty, so 10 and 6, always good choices. And then 5 and 2, and 2 and 3. Everybody okay? Alrighty, so circle your pairs. And then where do pairs go? On the outside. So because we couldn't do anything with the square root 15, I'm just going to write it down. And then it's minus, our pairs go on the outside. So 2, and then times 6. Okay. And then square root, what's left over? That 5 and that 3. Okay, just to show you guys. There you go. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Alrighty, so we get square root 15 minus 12 square root 15. So that's going to give us negative 11 square root 15. Alrighty. These only get harder because eventually you have to simplify both radicals. Okay, that's the only thing that makes this difficult, is that now we have to simplify both, and you have to remember your outside number. Okay, so factors of 32, we'll do 4 and 8, 4 and 2. And once you start getting good at this, you can recognize, hey look, I have a pair right here. Okay, so then you can stop. So then our pairs go on the outside, so 4 times 2. And then square root 2. Alright, I'll do a different color so we're not getting too confused. Factors of 18, do 2 and 9, and then 3 and 3. Okay, we use the 9, we use the 18. So we have minus 3, okay, and that was our original. And then we have a pair of 3's, and then square root 2. Okay, then we're going to simplify. I'm going to go back to red. 4 times 2 will give us 8 square root 2 minus 9 square root 2, which will give us negative 1 square root 2. Or you can write it negative square root 2. Both of these answers are correct. Alrighty. Okay, let's try 6. Okay. So we have, obviously these numbers are not the same, so we're going to need to try to simplify. So we have 7 and 4, 2 and 2. Circle your pairs. So we're going to have negative 4. Negative 4 came from right here. Okay. Pair of 2's, square root. We are left over with 7. Alrighty. Different color then. 112. Honestly, I'm not sure the factors of 112, so I'm just going to divide by 2. Because it ends in a 2. It's an even number. So, 2 goes into 11 5 times, which will give us 10. Is 5 times 2, subtract, and 56. So 2 and 56. Okay, and honestly, I don't know the factors of 56, so I need to divide again. And sometimes that happens. There we go. And then for 56, we get 2 and 28. So since you are not given a calculator, that's why I'm doing this, okay? I'm showing you guys that if you don't know the factors of 112 or of 56, this is how you find them, okay? But now we're to a number that we're pretty familiar with for 7 and 4. At least we should be, because we can use the exact same factors that we did down there. Okay? This is one of those where you definitely want to cross out. So we used 4, 28, 56, and 12. So I have a pair of 2's here, and a pair of 2's here. Okay, whoops. All right, so since I took up so much space, I'm going to bring this back down, okay? So And I'm going to go ahead and simplify. So negative 4 times 2 will give me negative 8 square root 7. And then plus, I have my original 4. Okay, that's where I'm getting the 4 from originally. And then times one pair of 2 times another pair of 2, square root 7. Okay? So then negative 8 square root 7. And then 4 times 2 will give us 8. Times 2 will give us 16. Square root 7. So now we can finally add them. Negative 8 plus 16 will give us positive 8 square root 7. Okay, that is definitely one of the harder ones that you will see because you just had to do so much work. Alright, speaking of so much work, let's do 7. And then you guys can do 8 on your own. Alrighty, so factors of 160. I always like to use the 10 method, so 16 and 10. And then 4 and 4. Hey look, already got a pair. 5 and 2, which is so not helpful. Alright, so we used all of that. Okay, so I have negative 4 from the original piece times 4 times square root 5 times 2. Alrighty. And now we're going to find our factors of 90, which again, I like the old standby of 10 and 9, which will give us 5 and 2, 3 and 3. Hey, look at that. Got a pair right there. And then we can cross out. So don't forget your originals, so minus 2, and then times one pair, which is 3, square root 5 times 2. Alright, let's simplify. Negative 4 times 4 gives us negative 16 times 10 minus 6 square root 10. Doing alright? Okay. Which will leave us with negative 22 square root 10. Lovely. Alright, so you guys can definitely try 8. Alright, let's see what's on the back now. Oh my gosh, so many more problems. Okay, but now we get into adding and subtracting 3 of them. So we're going to do basically the exact same thing. So the first one's pretty easy because we just have like terms right here and right here, okay? Because they have the exact same radical. Alright, so what is negative 2 minus 2? That's going to be negative 4 square root 10 minus 3 square root 6. Okay? Now, we've seen a couple of times, sorry for the bell, that when we do the factors of 10, we get 5 and 2, which are both primes. And when we do the factors of 6, we get 2 and 3, which are both primes. So this is as simplified as we are going to get. And you know what? That's okay. That's allowed. Alright? And just to make absolutely certain you guys are okay with that, let's try the next one. So we have like terms because both of these have a square root 7. And we're just going to add them. So 2 plus 4 will give me 6 square root 7. And then just bring down the 5 square root 3. Obviously 7 and 3 are prime numbers. And so that's just going to be your answer. Okay? Alrighty. So it gets a little bit trickier when we have 3 terms because that means that we're going to have to simplify. Alright? But we're in luck because this one is simplified. We can't do anything with that one. Alrighty? But we can simplify the 50. So we're going to do 5 and 10. And then 5 and 2. And hey, look. Right there. Got a pair of 5s. So negative 3 times 5 square root of 2. Alright. And then now we're going to do the 18 for 9 and 2. And then 3 and 3. So got a pair of 3s. So there was nothing out in front, so we don't need to worry about that. So we're just going to do plus 3 square root 2. So we can cross those out. And then just bring down your minus 3 square root 3. Alright. And so then to combine it all together, we get negative 15 square root 2 plus 3 square root 2 minus 3 square root 3, where we can combine our like terms right here and here for negative 12 square root 2 minus 3 square root 3. Ta-da! Not too horrible, is it? Alright, so I'm going to do 12, and then I'm going to do, and then I might do 15 and 16. And then you guys will do the rest, alrighty? Well, you won't do 17 and 18. But anyway, okay, so find your factors of 8. 4 and 2, 2 and 2. Cross them out. Okay, so got a pair of 2's. There is an original 2, okay? Most people get confused with that original 2. And then square root, box up that 2. Alright, factors of 96. Let's see, I know 3 and 32. And then 4 and 8. 4 and 2. Oh, look at that, pair of 4's. Okay. So don't forget the original 4 out front. So we get 4 times 4, square root 2 and 3. It's going to give us 6. Okay, so if you notice, I'm starting to skip steps, but inside of our box is going to be 3 times 2, which you guys should know is going to give us 6. Alright, and then factors of 24. So many different factors. Let's do 12 and 2, and then 2 and 6, and then 3 and 2. Okay, so I wrote it kind of sporadically like that, just so that you guys can make sure that you are crossing out the right things, and then only circling one pair. Okay, so there was nothing out in front except for that negative, so we're going to have negative 2 square root, and our box is going to be 6. Excuse me. Alright, so 2 times 2 will give us 4 square root 2, and then plus 16 square root 6 minus 2 square root 6, which is going to equal, combine your like terms, 4 square root 2 plus 14 square root 2. Ta-da! There's your answer. Alrighty, I think you guys can do 13 and 14 because they are each 3 terms like I've just been doing. I'm going to do 15 and 16 because now we have 4 terms. Alright, so look at what's inside your square root. So this is supposed to be a negative, by the way. So I have negative square root 5, negative square root 5, negative 2 square root 5. So I can combine all of those. So negative 1 will give me negative 2. Minus 2 is going to give me negative 4 square root 5. And then plus 3 square root 7. See, that one wasn't so bad. Alright. And then this one. Go ahead and combine these like terms because you know that the 6's don't simplify. Alright? So we get negative 8 square root 6. But we have seen that 8 does simplify. So we're going to simplify that one really quick. So we get 4 and 2. And then we get 2 and 2. Whoops, I'm sorry. Circle our pairs. And then box our leftover. Okay. So we had that original 4. And then times a pair of 2. Square root 2 plus 4 square root 2. Alright, so we get negative 8 square root 6 plus 8 square root 2 plus 4 square root 2, which is going to give us negative 8 square root 6 and then plus 12 square root 2. Ta-da! And you guys have just learned to add and subtract radicals. Now, just really quick, if you want a challenge problem, for 17, I will give you a hint. Perimeter means to add up all your sides. Okay, so that just means that you would be adding 2 square root 72 plus 8 square root 18 and plus 16 square root 2. So you are going to have to simplify the square root 72 and the square root 18 and then combine your like terms. Alrighty. And then for this one, the length and the width of a rectangle. So I would draw a rectangle. It is represented by these expressions. So one of them is 2 square root 405 and 9 square root 48. Write an expression to represent the perimeter, which means add up sides. Okay, so if this side is 2 square root 405, then this side must be 2 square root 405. And if this side is 9 square root 48, then that means that this side is 9 square root 48. So you're just going to add up all of your sides, and honestly, I would start by adding 2 square root 405 plus 2 square root 405, and then doing 9 square root 48 plus 9 square root 48. Okay? And so I'll help you out a little bit more. Your 2 and your 2 is going to give you 4 square root 405, and then 9 and 9 will give you 18 square root 48. So now you are tasked with finding what it simplifies down to, and to see if you can get it simplified down to one radical. I have no idea. Good luck, guys. And that's the end of our notes for adding and subtracting radicals. Congratulations, guys, you did it.